I just thought about two famous people in Japan. This is like 30, 40 years ago, so it's a irrelevant story perhaps for many. But to me, those two people um, give me a very interesting insight as to how I might live my life. One is Konosuke Matsushita, who is the founder of Panasonic. I often talk about him. The other one is Soichiro Honda, the founder of the Honda Motor Company. And Matsushita is very diligent, starting from the shop floor, apprentice, going through hardship without any education, and became one of the top, well-respected person in Japan. This is like 40 years ago, perhaps, after the war. And Honda is also very much respected. And his approach is almost the opposite of Matsushita. What he looked after, what he tried, is to find what he really likes to do and just do it. Again, his educational background, he doesn't have much. So he tried and failed and tried and failed. And the spirit is shared by Honda people. I visited the company, and there's, for example, an idea of why Gaia, why Gaia, meaning people just discuss and figure out what to do. Maybe it's like a hackathon in today's world. Matsushita's case, it's more of a diligence from the shop floor, learning the skills, respecting others, and working together. So let me see if I can come up with an interesting example. In the other video I mentioned about, Matsushita talked about his vision of how we may work. And he said if he were to do the work of building the ramen shop in Japan, he'll make it #1 ramen shop. So that talks about the vision and the spirit. And what I see is that, because I've read his most of the maybe 30 books that he's written, he would organize everything, housekeeping, diligently, and taste the ramen and compare with others and relate to customers well. And I could see that. And he said that when he was at the top, maybe he was about 80 or 75 years old. But I think that kind of a vision would inspire lots of people. For example, I was rushing to do some eating, breakfast just a while ago, and I thought about Matsushita's story. If that's the ramen shop, I'm not a good cook for ramen. In this case, preparing breakfast. But there are many items you have to put together in certain order without waste and with good taste, with nutrition. So I have to do that. And I cannot do it if I'm rushing. So I felt, because of the appointment, usually I get up a little late and rushing. And that's not something that you should do if you are to, not in this case, creating a ramen shop, but have a nutrition, good spirit, organized, doing everything excellent. So the ramen shop idea can be applied to any movement, the things we do. And if we are not with the spirit of ramen shop, of Matsushita, we are rushing one to the other, and you're not going to be #1 in whatever you do. Process control, high quality. You feel right in what you do. Everything organized. If you're rushing, you come up with a way to organize better. lots of things you can do. In fact, I wrote a book about waste elimination, new manufacturing challenge. If you have time, you can take a look at it. I'll put it in the description how to find it. But that has all the elements. But I preached and talked about housekeeping and organization and other stuff in the book. That was 1987, 40 years ago, or something like that, almost. And I'm not still doing. If my life is like a shop floor, organization, preparation, quality control, and not rushing. So if I cannot do that at this age, I'm not still practicing what I thought I was talking at the time. I mentioned about the housekeeping and organization in the other video. So I'm going back to the basic to reflect myself as if looking into the mirror. To live well, you need to have all the process in control. I also thought about Warren Buffett. I talked about this in the other video. I saw him paying at McDonald's exact the change without credit card or anything. So he knows what he need to do at certain situation like buying McDonald's hamburger. I think he's got 2 or 3 choice, and he has the bag with exact coins and everything. So the process is maybe 2 seconds or 3 seconds. I just saw that simple example, and I thought, well, this guy knows how to spend his time. So ramen shop, Warren Buffett at McDonald's, and how you live your life without constraint, overburdening, upsetting, but with good quality control. That has to be shown anywhere, anytime in living life. I guess that's I'm preaching, but I thought that's one point. So Honda's case is not as to be compared to Matsushita. That's why it's interesting, because I have the Honda spirit also. He said when he's to get things done, nothing matters, you just do it. And one of the examples I remember, there was a case of something going wrong because of the snowfall, so that the people can deliver the parts to certain location. And that was very important. So Honda was very passionate, and he's always trying to do their best, similar to Matsushita in a different way. But in this case, what he said is, no, you cannot do it. That's ridiculous. Just to catch an airplane, find one and fly and have the parachute and get down there so that you can deliver the parts. I love that story. And there are those people, kind of like Honda, sometimes. I know, what's his name? Ono, Taichi Ono is very famous. I spent time with him at Toyota, known as the father of Toyota production system. And he did in front of my eyes too. When something is not right, in this case, some parts are delivered to this factory, but not in the order or the amount that they wanted. And as soon as I realized that, I thought something's going to happen. And what he did is that he was just upset and throwing that part and breaking it. So it's the passion, like Honda, Ono's case. It's like a Zen-like approach of cuts. How can you do it? If you cannot do it, how can you produce the good quality car at the right price? And one of the points that he mentioned later in our conversation, I had this one-to-one discussion, lucky enough to spend time in the afternoon. He said that it is not just for the sake of the principle, but also if you think about the psychology of people in that room where people are working, they may realize that their supervisor is complained and punished by owner. And because why? We are not doing the right thing. So that changes the atmosphere. Maybe not the way that you would approve in these days, but those are the spirit, like I said, 40 years ago, even more in Japan. And when I think about the recent days in Japan, I noticed that after the war, there are many entrepreneurial, good spirit, high-spirited people run the company. That to me was obvious. More recent time, in the last 10, 20 years, maybe more, I felt there's no entrepreneurial spirit in Japanese business environment. I know a company called Kiens. That's one. It's entrepreneurial. The president, I remember, didn't graduate from high school or some such thing, or only to the high school. But he had a spirit. But those people are rare. The spirit, energy, vision, principle, how to share it and make things happen. Everything changes over time, and some old story may not apply in the current situation, but the spirit, there's something to digest, not just at work, but living life, like in my case, organizing my breakfast, not rushing. It's not healthy for me, if you rush, even if it's good nutrition. So there's always room for improvement. And what it means is that there's a vision, principle, how we may want to accomplish something and have a discipline and sincerely and truthfully making it happen. Not because something you could do, without thinking. That's the way to do it, what's the word? Instant gratification. You don't think about the means, but you want the end. Just give me the money, or something like that. If the world is functioning like that, that's not the world I think we can enjoy. So, something to think about. You have a good day. It shouldn't be too late.